Your top story at this hour: Madagascar is emerging from the ruins of a political crisis sparked by electoral reform. President Harry Rajuanarira has announced a new government following a court ruling which called for a consensus administration. The Indian Ocean nation has been rocked by ongoing anti-government protests that were sparked by the new laws. The opposition sought to bar their candidates from taking part in elections scheduled for later this year. The president stated that the government of Prime Minister Christian Ntse has now been put in place after several rounds of negotiations.
La formation du gouvernement est juste le résultat d'une décision de la ACC. Moi, je pense que tout le monde est prêt à participer dans le but tout simplement de maintenir la paix et l'ordre pour venir dans le plus bref délai à une élection paisible. Moi je crois bien, mais nous allons nous concerter et vous allez voir que la situation va vers l'apaisement.
MDC Alliance presidential candidate Nelson Chamisa has dismissed claims that former First Lady Grace Mugabe is tipped for a senior position to lure ZANU-PF supporters. Disillusioned by last year's coup, Chamisa reportedly told a campaign rally that it was unthinkable for Grace Mugabe to be his deputy in the alliance as claimed by one of the National Patriotic Front factions. Grace has been singled out as one of the reasons the ZANU-PF was splitting, as she was allegedly pushing for its interim leader, Ambrose Mutinhiri's ouster. Mutinhiri's faction claims that Grace wanted to take over the leadership of the ZANU-PF before the party joined the MDC alliance. However, Chamisa says Mugabe's wife would never deputize him. And still in Zimbabwe, Parliament has backed down on its demand for former President Robert Mugabe to answer questions related to diamond mining operations during his time in office. Parliament had wanted to question Mugabe about his claim that the state had been deprived of at least $15 billion in revenue. The pursuit of answers was in relation to mining companies operating in the eastern Marangi diamond fields. Mugabe had twice failed to appear before the Mines Committee of Parliament. He was given a final chance to do so on Monday. However, in an about turn, the committee said it had now recused the veteran leader after consultations with the Speaker. Now joining me in studio to further unpack these stories in Zimbabwe is Kennedy Mandaza, ZANU-PF spokesperson. A very warm welcome to you, sir, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you and good evening.
Now, I just wanted to get your reaction, as we know that the MDC Alliance presidential candidate, Nelson Chamisa, has dismissed claims that former Lady Grace Mugabe is tipped for a senior position to lure ZANU-PF supporters, disillusioned by last year's coup. What is your reaction around this?
Thank you. The MDC Alliance has an obligation as an alliance to lure anyone that would want to join that alliance. And we have said, and it is on record, that the alliance is a grouping of zeros. And as much as we may have as many zeros put together, the result is a zero. And the fact that we hear that there is talk that the wife of the former president may be having interest in joining the alliance, that we cannot confirm nor deny, because what happens in the alliance is mostly privy to those that are within that alliance. But what we can say is that the wife of the former president was fired from ZANU-PF, and she has a democratic right to join or form a party of her own choice. And I don't think that she has any influence anymore in the supporters of ZANU-PF. And we are strong as we are, and we do not fear that anyone who used to be a part of the cabal, if he or she was to join any other political party, that would really lure our supporters. We are aware that members of the NPF, which the head that it was led by Ambrose Mutiniri, we saw them, a number of them, joining MDC alliance during the rally which was held in Chiredzi over the weekend. And that again doesn't bother us at all, because all these people have their democratic right to choose a party of their choice. And we in ZANU-PF, we remain firm, and we are looking forward to the elections. Our support base is very strong.
With the elections just around the corner and with such allegations coming out, what does ZANU-PF do? Do they continue with their campaign, or do they try and maybe come up with something else in order to make sure that they do not lose any of their members?
ZANU-PF is not losing any of its members. We are winning more members as we speak, because like we have said in the past, and we continue to preach this, that it is on the basis of the strength of what we offer to the people of Zimbabwe that many people have found reason in joining ZANU-PF. And the consistency that has been shown by the new dispensation under the leadership of President Mnangagwa, there are so many people that are willing to work with him to make sure that Zimbabwe grows better than what it was before he ascended to power. So that confidence that he has brought and hope that he has brought in the people of Zimbabwe is the reason why we find our support base growing each day. And if you have also been following what has been happening in our rallies, you will see that quite a number of people, large numbers of people, have been following the president wherever he goes. So our support base is strong. There are no people that are leaving ZANU-PF. If at all, we have people that are joining ZANU-PF.
And looking at Mnangagwa, has he come out and said anything to most of the members of ZANU-PF so far?
Yes, ever since President Mnangagwa became the president of the party, he has touched base with all the leagues that are in the party. He has been with the Youth League, he has been with the Women's League, he has met the Central Committee, he has been having meetings with the Politburo, and he has visited quite a number of provinces in order to talk to the people of Zimbabwe and reassure them that Zimbabwe is in safe hands. And really it is in safe hands, as shown by the interest that even the international community has shown, and the support that has been given so far by the international community. So with that, we believe that the president is on the right track, and he continues to go everywhere in the country to make sure that he reassures the people of Zimbabwe of the commitment that he has, and listen to their problems and challenges that they faced, and also listen to the solutions that might be proffered by the people. And he has also been in the diaspora, meeting people that are in the diaspora, and also inviting them to come into Zimbabwe so that they can work together with the government to make sure that we turn around the fortunes of the country.
The last time I asked about Mnangagwa, you did say that he is actually going to approach people on the ground to actually listen to them this time around. At this point, can we say that he has been listening to them, and what implementations has he been putting in place?
Bearing in mind that the president has been in office for six months now, he has touched base with the youth recently, and when he went to meet the youth, he was listening to the youth to hear their challenges and also listen to the possible solutions that they have in mind. And when he went to meet the Central Committee, he was also listening to the problems and challenges that the country might be facing, as well as listening to the possible solutions that might need to be put in place in the country. And when he met the Women's League, he was also listening to the challenges that the women are facing, and also listening to the possible solutions. And when they now sit down as the Politburo and the other functionaries in the party, they will then come up with the holistic approach to make sure that they attend to the problems that are facing Zimbabwe. But generally, most of the problems that people have been citing are the problems that have been that are known to the majority of the people, and these are the problems that the president has had to quickly run to the international community to re-engage them so that lines of credit and opened and the flow of foreign direct investment begins to come into the country. And we have started to see other companies coming in to invest in Zimbabwe. And that in itself is what Zimbabwe wants at the moment, to make sure that we strengthen the economy, we begin to generate employment for the people, and we begin to instill confidence among the generality of the people that are in Zimbabwe.
You also spoke about Mnangagwa listening to the youth and actually trying to find out what are some of the challenges that they are facing. Have you heard what the challenges are, and what measures will you be putting in place to resolve those challenges?
Some of the challenges or what the youth have put across to the president ordinarily would be employment. They want the jobs. The other thing that they want is to participate in the economy of Zimbabwe, be it in agriculture, be it in mining. They also want land in order for them to take part in farming, and they would also want to have land where they can build their houses and so on. These are some of the things that they have given to the president. And the president, being a listening president as he is, he has said to them he will go and sit down and make sure that he come up with solutions to the problems that are there. But we need to understand that he cannot come up with the solutions as and when he gets to know the problems. He has to sit with the collective that he is going to work with and the collective that he is currently working with in order to proffer solutions for the challenges and the problems that he would have been given by the youth. But he has promised each league that he has met and the people that he has met that he will definitely look into that in order to make sure that the lives of the people of Zimbabwe are changed.
And has ZANU-PF ever thought of forming an alliance with any of the opposition parties?
As we go to the election at the moment, there is no talk of any alliance. We feel we are strong enough to do business on our own, and we feel we need to go into this election as ZANU-PF, and with the support that we have, we are confident that we are going to win the elections. Any talk of any alliance with any other party is not part of the brief that we have at the moment. However, the president has already said he is prepared to, he is the president for all Zimbabweans. He is prepared to work with every Zimbabwean, and he will live up to his word when the need, if there is any need to do so.
All right, and now moving on to a second discussion on the mining inquiry, where Parliament has backed down on its demand for former President Robert Mugabe to answer questions related to the diamond mining operations during his time in office. What do you make of this decision by Parliament?
This decision that the Parliament has taken is informed by the fact that Parliament had to wind up its business as we go towards elections. So we hear that by the 7th of this month, Parliament should have wound up this business, and as a result, they could not have had any other time to meet with the former president. Hence, the consultations that took place between the Portfolio Committee and the Honorable Speaker to make a decision of what to do. Hence, they decided to recuse the former president for the time being. But we are made to understand that issues that have been brought to the Parliament for discussion or for investigations, these will continue after elections when we have a new Parliament. So what has happened at the moment is stop a process which has already begun, and we believe that if it is imperative, it is necessary for the former president to be called, that will be done with the Mines Portfolio Committee of the new Parliament after elections.
But now, is there anyone else who can account for the mining operations that took place during Mugabe's time?
I think there are quite a number of people that have been called to the by the portfolio committee that have appeared before the portfolio committee. Some of them were ministers of mines, some of them of finance, and so on and so on. And these have been able to give a brief on what they know about the issue of the claim that was made by the former president. But one of the things that came out when we read through the report is that some people were saying feel that probably when the former president spoke about the 15 billion, he was using a figurative speech to show the extent to which possibly part of what we were supposed to get as a country had gone with other ways other than the official channels. But the MMCZ, which is responsible for monitoring the processes that are taking place in the mines, has had its account with the portfolio committee, has given the quantities that have been declared to the Minerals and Marketing Corporation of Zimbabwe, and also the figures of how much they've earned and how much has gone to the government of Zimbabwe. So there are people that can account for what happened at Chiazwa or at Marange.
But now, what does ZANU-PF know as a party about the diamond mining operations?
Well, ZANU-PF as a party knows that there have been diamonds in Marange, and there were companies that were involved in the mining of diamonds. And ordinarily, we expected that the diamonds which were being mined, like any other mineral in Zimbabwe, should go into the coffers of the government to make sure that we grow the economy of Zimbabwe. It is unfortunate that if the figure that is being touted of 15 billion, if it is true, then it is a sad part of the history of Zimbabwe that it could have lost such amount of money without having gone through the coffers of the government. But if it is a speculative figure, then again, there is need for people to begin now to look at how best we can manage the resource. And I think the president has been very clear when it comes to the issue of diamonds. He has said that we are going to come up with a law that is going to regulate and make sure that the mining of diamonds in Zimbabwe at the end of the day brings in the much needed money into the coffers of the government. So I think at the moment there is a policy that is being crafted to make sure that they regulate the mining of diamonds wherever diamonds are in Zimbabwe. But as ZANU-PF, we would want to see that funds that are coming from these minerals, they go into the coffers of the country and they are used to benefit and grow the economy.
Let's talk about the future. Is ZANU-PF going to make investigations around the diamond mining operations and see how will it be resolved instead of waiting for the committee?
I cannot speak authoritatively on what we are going to do in the future. But if it has become the concern of the majority of the people in Zimbabwe, it will become imperative for the ZANU-PF to make sure that they put in systems in place that will make sure that there are no leakages of the diamonds and any other mineral that is being mined in Zimbabwe. And we may also need to find out the authenticity of the information from those that were involved in the mining at Marange, so that we give closure to this issue of the 15 billion and the other leakages that might have occurred, if there are any that have been reported. So we are quite much concerned. We are interested in the mining and the minerals that are in Zimbabwe because they form the basis of our economy, and would want to make sure that whatever is done is above reproach and everyone else sees what is happening. We need transparency in the whole system that should be put in place with regards to mining in Zimbabwe.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for joining me here in studio.
Thank you.
And that was Kennedy Mandaza saying that they are not deterred by the dismissed claims that former First Lady Grace Mugabe is tipped for a senior position to lure ZANU-PF supporters. And right now, let's move on. A visually impaired Cameroonian lawyer is setting an example on beating adversity. Jean-Pierre Alfred Ngale is the country's first lawyer with this disability, and he is blazing the trail for others that come behind him. Let's take a look at how